In this video, I talk with viral video creator Rob Dial, whose videos have over 1 billion video views, and he shares how you can get people's attention and stop the scroll, and the 5 elements of making your videos go viral coming up. YouTube Secrets is out now. Learn the strategies of today's top video influencers in this step-by-step YouTube success playbook. Get your copy today at tubesecretsbook.com. Hey, what's up? Sean Cannell here with Video Influencers, helping you build your influence, income, and impact with online video. And today I'm sitting with Rob Dial, who has over 1 billion video views. He's a mindset and motivational content producer, multiple viral videos, top podcaster. How's it going, Rob?
Doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thanks so much for coming out to the studios here in Las Vegas.
Dude, I've seen this so many times, and it's like being inside. I told you when I walked in, it's like being inside a cribs. Where I'm like, oh, I get the actual full tour now.
That's right, man.
Excited to be here.
So pumped to have you on, and pumped for learning about viral content. You've got multiple viral videos. You make incredible content, and a lot of people in our community want to get more views, get more subscribers, get more followers. But as we get started, I mean, today you've got over 1 billion video views.
Right.
You've got all these followers on Facebook. Your YouTube channel is not even something you focus on, but it's like almost 40,000.
It's my new thing.
You know, Instagram's blowing up. So you've really mastered content creation, but let's go back and just kind of in a nutshell, how did you end up here? Like, where'd you start and how'd you get into this?
So it's funny, because you know how they always say, like, the famous Steve Jobs quote is, you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only like them looking backwards. So it actually started sophomore year of college. I was a business major, and I decided to take film classes. And I had no idea why. My mom was like, why are you taking film classes? You're a business major. I was like, I don't know. I just want to learn about film. And I learned about it. I started directing. I started getting into the videos and producing them, and spent like 19 hours to literally edit 1 3-minute video, and kind of got obsessed with it. And then I got away from it. I started working. I went into school. And then I was dating a girl in 2008 that went to NYU for photography. And she got me back into it. And I got my first DSLR, my first Canon. I was like, whatever it was, TSI or whatever back in the day. And then, life happened. I was in a selling company. I was there for a few years, and then started podcasting. And this was 4.5 years ago. And people were like, what's a podcast? And so I kept the podcast, but at the same time, I was like, if this is not where people are, I need to go where people are. And so I was like, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And I read one article by Google that said by 2020, 85% of the content consumed on the internet will be video. And I was like, that's it, I gotta go video. So I just started with my webcam that I had, and then just started spending a lot more money watching your videos, and spending a lot more money and just buying all of the links that you guys had and going through your affiliate links. And it blew up, man. And it's something I got obsessed with. And I always tell people, if there's something you really wanna do, you're gonna be terrible at it at the beginning, but just continue to do it, and you'll eventually figure it out. And that's, for me, why did this video go? Why did this not go? Why did this video go? Why did this not go? And just broke them all down, and just kind of figured out where everything came from, and that's where it's been.
That's amazing. And in this video, we're gonna be talking about these 5 tips for the elements of like a viral video. And we can just kick it off. The first one is get attention and stop the scroll. And actually, we got an example, and I wanna hear your tips.
Yeah.
But one of your most viewed videos on Facebook has 92 million views.
Yeah.
And it's about what, like why you should quit your job, right?
Correct, yeah.
And so it's a massively viewed video, but one of the things it does is it gets attention, and we can actually play the first 9 seconds.
Yeah.
You packed a lot in here. Check this out.
In case you didn't know, one day you will die. And I want to show you why the job that you have that you hate is a waste of your life.
Okay, so did you just kind of like not even plan that intro, or does getting attention and does that hook matter?
Oh, that's the first thing I write. So when I sit down and I have a video topic, so you could probably see if you watch the video, I'm super passionate about it. I think people should quit their job if they hate it. I think that it's a waste of, if the majority of someone's waking hours in their life is spent at a job and they hate their job, then it's a waste. And so the idea was, okay, I'm gonna tell people why their job, if they hate it, is a waste of their life. So the very beginning of it, I wrote down, and I was like, it's just like sending out emails. When you want someone to open up your email, you want a subject line that makes it interesting. How can I make this as interesting as possible? Because whether they're on YouTube and they're looking at the thumbnail and the title, or if they're scrolling through Facebook or they're scrolling through Instagram, people have such small attention spans that you have to like hook them right away. And so the very first thing that I write is the hook to get their attention as soon as they come in. And then if you get their hook and they're right there, they want to see the rest of it. It's that open loop where now they need to see the end of it to really feel like there's something that they got from it.
And I think there's a couple things that you do in that hook too. Not only is it the words you say, what you planned, right?
Right.
But it's also the visual. You also threw a visual up, right. And so then that's kind of like, well, what is this diagram behind you, right? And some of your videos also, they have headlines. There's the first line of text maybe in Facebook. Mm-hmm. Do you think through all of those elements?
For sure, yeah. Everything's completely planned out. So that video on its own was 100% scripted. What you can't see is how ghetto it was inside of the actual, we lived in a tiny apartment. We were renting it out because we had come back. We were traveling for 6 months, my girlfriend and I. We rented a sublease of this tiny apartment, and I had this idea spark in my head. And literally, there's the wall behind me, but there's our bed right here, and then my girlfriend's on the other side, holding the actual iPad up with the the script of what I had to say. And because of the fact that it was literally, it wasn't dry erase, it was literally a poster board, and I had one poster board, I had to get it right in one shot. So it was on a tripod, my girlfriend's holding up the script, like everything was very intricately planned, to the point where if you watch the entire video, it's a tripod shot that doesn't look like a tripod. We made it look like it's moving, it's zooming in, it's zooming out, it's kind of giving that voyeuristic feeling of, people love watching Real World, Road Rules, all of it, Big Brother, all of those things, they feel like they're kind of a fly on the wall, and if there's that movement and the zooming in and zooming out, people kind of feel like they're the fly on the wall. And so all of it was intricately planned, exactly. But you just don't really notice it unless you're paying a lot of attention to it.
That's right. It's just immersive, and now 92 million views later, it's got like 1 million views on YouTube.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting either one of those.
And that's the power, right, of a viral video. But the second element that you teach is the content itself. What do you mean there?
So a lot of people worry about, is my quality good enough? Like we're talking about cameras. We both spent tens of thousands of dollars on cameras and equipment and everything you could possibly think of. But the one thing that really holds people back the most is, but I only have my iPhone. It's not good enough. And so I always tell people, don't worry about the quality. The quality is not a big deal. There's so many viral videos of dogs on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram that's taken from an iPhone. So it's not a big deal. So I think the content is really what matters. People need to feel like they're going on a journey, is what I always say. And the journey itself is just more than anything else like a mini movie. So that 3-minute journey, I want to take the viewer to go on, like just like anything else. If you're going and watching, I just went to The Lion King, right? There's that climactic part where it goes up and you feel something and it's like, how's this going to end? I kind of want to make the viewer actually go through that journey of how can I make this experience so that their emotions go up, their emotions go down, and then we'll talk about the ending in just a second as well.
Yeah. So another key here, and it's the same thing, is you're planning this out. Like you're actually writing and scripting your videos.
Yep.
And is that where really the heavy lifting is done? Is thinking through that? And what's that process look like for you? Does it take some time?
Oh, it's the hardest part of what I do. The turning on the camera and all of that, that's super easy for me. But to actually sit, because the problem is for me, I could talk for 15 minutes straight. I'm good at that. But most people are not going to want to watch 15 minutes if it's a viral video. They want to watch something, then they want to get back to their life. And so what I do is, if I'm going through my whole process, I have the video idea, and then the very first thing that I write, like I tell you, is I put a couple different options of how am I going to stop the scroll. What is it going to be that's going to make somebody go, I need to watch this inside. That's the first thing that I find out. And then what I do is I literally do this massive brain dump where I will take 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes, and I'll put every single idea that I can possibly get on this. Like for instance, I have a video that I want to do on childhood bullying. So I put every idea that I possibly could, and then I probably spent 2 hours researching statistics and like if you watch that video that we're talking about, there's a bunch of statistics because there's the analytical brain that wants to, like me, that wants to know the statistics behind it, but then there's the emotional brain that wants to actually feel something as well. And so, I'll take the entire brain dump, and then I'll say, how can I take this like a puzzle and piece it into actually making them feel something? And then I have this, 1,000-word script, and I know that if it's a 3-minute video, it's got to be about 450 words. So I literally put every sentence, and I say, how can I say this more efficiently?
Wow.
How can I say this better? Can I take these 10 words and get it in 5, but to use words that are better than ones that I have that are more descriptive? Ernest Hemingway is one of my biggest, I would say out of all writers, he's my favorite, because he can take one 5-word sentence and say more than some people can say an entire paragraph. And you can see it, you can feel it, you're there. And so for me, how can I take this long one and just shorten it as much as possible? And then if I can get that, I can just hit record and the video's done.
That's powerful. So influencers, of course, like take time to invest in your content because it pays off when a video breaks out for you. It's producing results for you, getting tens of thousands of views or hundreds of thousands or millions. And there's also other elements you include. One of the things I noticed is metaphors. Yeah. You include a lot of metaphors like you were talking about, hey, AM, FM radio, you know, tuning in your brain, what are your thoughts, or your reticular activating system. It's kind of like, have you ever bought a new car? Now you see a Prius everywhere, or now you see a Ford Explorer everywhere. Have you ever bought a new car? Tell us what car you just got in the comments. What are some of those elements that make the content stronger? You also include research and stats. Yeah. So there's like some authority. Is that stuff intentional?
Oh, for sure. So there's, like I said, there's a couple different aspects of it. There's the analytical brain, there's the emotional brain, and then every person wants to learn through a story. So if you think about tens of thousands of years, millions of years, whatever it is that humans have been here before they started writing things down, the only way that things continued was through some sort of story. And so for me, it's like, how can I get the analytical mind, which is, I know is myself, where I need to see something, and in order for me to actually believe it, I need to see the stats behind it. I know that maybe a third of my people that are watching it are analytical. Maybe 50% of them are analytical. They're the logical brain side. The other ones are just the ones that want to feel something emotionally. So then I think about, how can I take this and emotionally pull something in? And you know, metaphors can be used in that. Many metaphors I try to put into it because you can put statistics out, but you're not going to pull everybody with statistics. But if you can put into a metaphor and someone can go, oh yeah, that's happened to me. Oh yeah, that reticular activating system, it's a geeky part of your brain. But if I say to you that reticular activating system takes the 2 trillion bits of information that could go into your brain and filters it down to 200, and then I go, have you ever bought a car and you never see it and then you see it everywhere? Everyone's like, oh yeah, me. And that makes them feel inclusive. They're like, oh yeah, me too, I get that. And then the stories on the other side of it was just like, I want to make sure that everybody feels like they're going through the journey. And whether I actually give them a story or not, the actual video itself is a story that I'm taking them through, which they can remember. I've had people come up to me, and you know, even last night when I was at an event, a lady came up to me and she's like, oh yeah, this. And she could quote a part of it because it wasn't just all statistics. It took her on some sort of journey, which then made her think about her own journey, which then locks it into her brain because she's playing it out in her own head.
Man, it's so powerful. Influencers, smash like if you're getting value, and tell us in the comments, how much time do you spend on your content right now? I mean, I know some of us are on the side hustle, you got a full-time job, but how much time goes into each one of your videos? Let us know in the comment section below. And the third tip here for creating videos that go viral is emotion. Yeah. Why do you have to include emotion?
Well, because we're all emotional beings. You know, some of us feel emotion more than other. But the journey is, like I told you, is that it's literally like a movie. You take somebody through a movie, and the movie itself needs to go up, and there's always, if you look at every movie, man, there's always some sort of love story that happens in it. There's some sort of bad guy that's in it. You know, and so if you look at it, I try to say, okay, maybe when I'm talking about the job, I can't bring a love story into it, but I can make an enemy in it. And that enemy could be your job, if you hate your job. It could be the time that you don't have anymore. It could be your boss, because I talk about the bosses in it. So I go, if I'm trying to make somebody feel something, it's the whole idea that, and this is where I feel like most people really mess up the most, is that they just throw stuff at people, not thinking about the actual people, the eyes who are watching it. So when I'm creating content, I'm actually asking myself, what am I trying to make this person feel? And what would they be feeling if I said this? Yep. And if they can feel it and they can pull emotion out of it, then they emotionally attach to it and they connect with it. And I don't think, and we'll talk about when we get to the end, like, you also need someone to share it at the end. If somebody emotionally attaches to something, they're going to share it at the end. If they don't emotionally attach, they'll go, oh, that was a cool video. Yeah. And then they'll go to the next one. So I think emotion needs to be a part of it as well.
And from studying viral videos myself, I have noticed that viral videos across the board, they make people mad, so they might share it, or they maybe make you sad in the sense of they move you, they make you laugh. Yeah. They're peak emotions. They're not neutral, right? For sure. Which actually kind of brings us to the tip number 4, and that is polarizing. What's that mean?
Yeah, so when I first started making content, it was always like, let me make it as vanilla as possible. I don't want to offend anybody, right? But then I realized, I heard a quote, and it's kind of sucks that I'm now quoting Bill Cosby, because he's not in the best of situations now, but he has a great quote. Sure. And the quote is, I don't know the key to success, but I know the key to failure is to try to please everybody. And that is the key to it. And so, you know, if you look at YouTube, if you look at Facebook, if you look at Instagram, they're all algorithmically based, which means that there has to be engagement in order for it to go, right? So I want to think about something that could be conversational down in the bottom. I want to think about something that somebody could say. And if you look at my videos, most of them are positive, but there's a few of them that are just like, this guy sucks, he doesn't know anything. And that hurt for a little while, that's the hardest part about making content in the first place, is we don't want to have our insecurities have a light shine on our insecurities, right?
Yeah.
So I had to get past that. Like, there's a lot of growth that comes in videos, I'm sure you know, because you've seen it. Like, there's a lot of personal growth that comes in putting yourself on the internet. But it's just the side of, I'm going to talk about what I truly believe in, 100%. And some people are going to connect that really well, and some people just aren't going to connect with it. And I'm okay with that now. But knowing that means that the people who do connect with it, they're going to be hardcore followers of me, because they're going to say, that guy's like me. I feel the same way. Everybody wants to be part of a tribe, and they want to be part of something. So if I can get more of those people, then that's what I'm really looking for. I'm not looking to piss people off. There's a lot of people on the internet that are looking to piss people off. I'm not looking to make people mad, but if I talk my true, authentic self, there's just some people aren't going to connect to me, and I have to be okay with that. So I have to make something that's a little bit polarizing. And if you're out there and you're trying to make videos, don't think of how can I make people mad. Say to yourself, how can I speak from my truth? Because if I do that, then that's gonna be videos that you want to create, number one. And number two, that's also gonna get people that are gonna really love you, but then you're also gonna get some people that don't really love you as much.
Yeah, so true. And man, the haters thing is real. Like, videos level you up.
Oh,
like,
they do.
Yeah, I mean, people will say some personal stuff that's a lot of times true.
For sure.
You know, and you're like, geez, like, I mean, jerk, you know, but that's so powerful. And being polarizing, I heard about the 50% rule, that any leader that's a good leader is going to have 50% of people loving them and hating them. If you have 100% of people hating you, you're a jerk.
Yeah.
If you got 100% of people liking you, you're a people pleaser, and you don't stand for anything.
Right.
So if you stand for something, people are going to dislike you, but in order to blow up, build your brand, build your influence, grow your income, you got to stand for something and pull out your polarizing point of view. But in number 5 is a resolve and really making the content shareable. What do you mean by actually resolving the video?
So I've never seen the movie The Mist, but every time I bring it up to someone who's seen it, they're like, the movie was great, but I absolutely hated how, like, they literally still hate the movie because of the fact that they saw it years ago and they have that unresolved feeling. So if I'm taking somebody on a journey, then what I want to do is, by the end of the movie, the short 3-minute movie that I just took them on, I want to make them go, okay, I like this, and it feels good. You know, there's always the love story. If you look at the love story, they always end up in the end, and if they don't end up at the end, you're like, that movie sucked. You get mad about the fact that they didn't end up. And then I can't think of any movie off the top of my head where the superhero doesn't win. So we all have that feeling of wanting resolve, and I think it comes back to, like, the animalistic part of our brain is we want to make sure everything's okay. We want to make sure there is no threats. And so if I can resolve it, they go, okay, good. And if I feel good, well, then guess what I'm gonna wanna do? I'm gonna want my friends to now see this. If I don't feel good, there's no resolve, I don't want anybody to see it. And actually, I don't wanna comment on it. I don't wanna talk to, I'm just probably don't wanna see this person's stuff again. And also, if they feel the resolve as well, for me, you know, if I'm making a lot of videos on Facebook, even on YouTube as well, they're gonna go, I like this video. What else does this person have? And then they watch a couple other ones and they get resolved, and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel good every time I watch this person. It's that little thing where people don't think about it, but it actually is real, of I wanna feel resolved at the end of them. So if I can end the movie, the mini movie, to make people feel good, then they're going to share it and it's going to start to go viral.
And what are some of the shares you've gotten? I mean, this is not just theory. You've had hundreds of thousands of shares on some individual videos, yeah?
Yeah, I think that 92 million one's like 2 or 3 million shares.
Like 3 million shares because of following these 5 tips. And so influencers, I encourage you, write these down, check out some of Rob's videos, study them, and get started kind of architecting your own videos. You really don't have to go viral. Simply by applying these, you might go from 300 views to 3,000 to 30,000, and it might not be viral, but you're gonna make a greater impact.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing, you just gotta, like, I looked back, and everyone comes from humble beginnings, which is what's great. I looked back a few months ago, actually a few weeks ago, where I looked at some of my videos from 3 years ago, and number one, they were terrible. From what I would say now, they're terrible. But they had like 312 views, right? I saw a post that I put up the other day, because I also put up, you know, motivational things, and it popped up and said, 3 years ago you shared this, and I had 12 likes. Right, like I'll average like 1,000 to 4,000 likes now, but I had 12 3 years ago.
Yeah. And
it's like, you just keep doing it, and like he just said, if you go check out my stuff and you check out other people's stuff who are doing the same thing, I literally sat there with a pen and paper and said, what are they doing? What am I feeling? And I started writing it down and picking apart all of them, and then I would go to somebody else and go, oh wait, hold on, these people are doing the same, I don't know if they know they're doing the same thing, but they're doing the exact same thing here. And then you start to realize that there are actual pieces to the puzzle, and if you put them in, just like a movie, every movie follows the same script in different ways. And if you can do that with the viral video, people will start to share it.
Well, Rob, are you ready for the lightning round?
I didn't know there was one, so yes, I'm ready, let's do it.
What kind of sound and hand motion does lightning make? Ooh, it's like just like a clap, a clap.
That's what I hear.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Book every influencer watching should read.
The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan.
Such a good book. We'll link it up in the YouTube description below. Favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? I would say probably Mr. Rogers.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor.
From when I was a kid. And then I just watched his little documentary that came out, and I was like, I used to love that guy.
Finish this sentence. Kanye West is
a genius.
Cat or dog?
Dog tonight. I don't
got a dog?
That's a question. Yeah, of course.
One dog?
One. Getting another one in the next couple months though.
What's your dog's name and breed?
Toby is a Shih Tzu. He's my girlfriend's dog. Nam, I always thought I was a big dog guy, and then she has a little 17-pound dog, and I'm like, all right, I guess maybe I am a little dog guy. It's easy to travel with, that's for sure.
You know what happens if you breed a Shih Tzu and a Bulldog?
I don't know. What is it?
Favorite social network besides your favorite social network? What is your favorite social network? Everyone's on YouTube usually.
Well, what's funny is, even though I have the most following on Facebook, Instagram's my favorite.
Yeah. It's everywhere. Instagram's the vibe. Favorite documentary or movie?
I would say my favorite movie is probably Godfather.
One or the trilogy?
One. They're all good, but one is it's good. It's classic.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
No miss morning ritual.
Besides coffee, which we already covered, coffee has to be is meditating.
If you could give a TED Talk, what would it be about?
Learning how to be 100% self-aware. I feel like that's the one thing. People think we know ourselves, and we know ourselves at a surface level, but we don't actually know the subconscious patterns that are actually happening inside of our brain. If we could develop self-awareness and realize that's why I treat that person that way, that's why I reacted to that, this entire world would be way better.
How has failure or setbacks in your life set you up for future success, and do you have a favorite failure?
So I actually don't see things as failures. I fail literally all day. All I do is fail, but then I just make adjustments. I don't see it as a failure until you just give up. The one thing that I think is biggest for me is, my best friend said it when he went into business with me, is he's like, Rob's basically a roach. Like, he's just resilient. He doesn't die, he doesn't ever give up. He just figures it out. He fails until he figures it out. So the biggest failure for me was when I was running an office with a company. I literally went from I was 22 years old, I had like $50,000, $60,000 in the bank, put all of it into it, missed.
Wow.
Ended up living off of spaghetti for 2 months. Cost me 88 cents for spaghetti to get a box of spaghetti, and $1.88 to get pasta sauce when I was at Walmart. So that was my biggest failure, but it was probably my biggest learning as well.
And you bounced back.
Bounced back.
Last song you had on repeat.
Oh, there's a really good song that Steve Angelo just put out with TD Jakes called Rejoice. Takes a preacher and puts it into a EDM song. It's the very first song I listen to every time I go into the gym. It just gets me like hyped.
Fire. Favorite place in the entire world and why?
Anna Maria Island, Florida. It's because of where I grew up. So I've been to 30 countries, I think, at this point. I've traveled quite a bit, but there's nothing like going back home. And for me, I didn't appreciate when I was a kid, but I grew up on an island, which is pretty awesome, and every time I go back, I'm like, damn, this is such an incredible place.
If you could give a piece of advice to your 21-year-old self, what would it be? If I knew then what I know now.
Appreciate the process more. I think I used to stress out on the process too much. But then I didn't. Now that I'm 33 years old, 12 years later, I realized that whole process would get me to where I wanted to be. But so often we're just like, I'm not where I want to be. And so just going through the process got me to the level that I am now to be able to continue growing.
And favorite quote or phrase you think about often and like to live by?
My favorite quote is probably Jim Rohn, which is, success is not something that you go and get. Success is something that you attract by the person that you become.
Lightning. Well, Rob, I want you to send us off with some inspiring wisdom and some action items that we can do in just a second. But for those that want to connect with you and see what you're doing online, where can they find you?
Just put in Rob Dial anywhere on the internet. If you like YouTube, which I'm sure you guys do, you probably love the YouTube, you could put on Rob Dial. Dial. You can do it on Instagram. You could do it on Facebook as well. My tag on those is Rob Dial Jr. Jr. So Rob Dial, Facebook.com/Rob Dial Jr. Instagram Rob Dial Jr. And then you just type in Rob Dial on YouTube. I'll pop up.
Well, Rob, thank you so much for coming on, and just want to thank you for all the value you put out into the world with your content. You know, there's so many people in our community that are at different stages in their journey, and that they've maybe gone through massive financial loss, or they're facing chronic illness or different challenges. And the climb of building your influence, building a business, being an entrepreneur, being a content creator is tough.
For sure.
It's an emotional roller coaster. So can you just kind of send us off with some parting words of wisdom and encouragement for our community?
Not to take away from where you are if you are struggling, but there has been somebody at some point in time that's had the same situation or something very similar to you that has succeeded from it. So if somebody else can do it, you can do it as well. The only thing you got to do is don't see these failures as failures. They're just little stepping stones. If you just continue doing it and you don't stop, you'll eventually figure out the way to get to where you want to go.
Rob Dial.
Thanks, buddy.
Influencers, question of the day. What is your most viewed video, your most viral video? Maybe it was 20 views, maybe it was 20 million. Tell us in the comment section below, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.